Welcome to this week's episode of Cooking Your Roots, Great Grandma C's Fried Chicken, Part 1. Now this is the recipe that started it all. My mother grew up eating Great Grandma Cline's fried chicken all the time, and it was delicious. As good of a cook as she was, though, she is not very good at writing recipes. There is no time limits here. There are no ratios for ingredients or measurements of any kind. And there are a lot of instructions that are not very helpful for me today. Now you have to understand, my great-grandma C grew up on a chicken farm, and this recipe was when she was in the 30s on that chicken farm. And there are things in it such as the age of the chicken will have a bearing on the length of time needed to cook the chicken. Really cool, GGC, but what am I supposed to do with that? So what do we need to get started? Well, first of all, we need chicken. And not just any chicken. We need bone-in skinned chicken so that we can get that authentic experience. I've tried it without skinned chicken and it's okay, it's just not as good. For this recipe, I ended up buying a whole chicken and cutting it up myself. And I'm gonna use part the classic way and part for the way I recreate her recipe. We are also gonna need celery salt, paprika, oregano, savory salt, pepper, and flour or biscuit mix. The start of this recipe, she says, when I started doing chicken this way, I used flour. But then when biscuit mix first came on the market, it proved to work better than flour. Here I use Bisquick. And the reason for this comes for what is in the biscuit mix, a leavening agent, which is going to help bind this crystalline structure together for our chicken. We're going to coat our chicken in our biscuit mix, making sure that there are no blank patches. You can do this by hand or you can place it in a bag and shake it up. So we're going to start with a medium hot skillet. Now this cast iron skillet was actually my great-grandma C's, or GGC's as I'm going to refer to her from now on, that she used. They don't make them like this anymore. It's amazing. Once our skillet is hot, we are going to use the fat trimmings from our bird and fry them up in our pan to make our grease that we will use to fry. It is highly likely that you will not have enough fat in your birds nowadays to fry up all the chicken you want. So you're going to have to use something else. Right now I'm going to add a little bit of lard. In my next video, I'll explain various things that you can do instead of lard. Place it in your hot fat, and then we are going to sprinkle our seasonings on. Now again, there's no measurements, so you're going to kind of have to do this to taste. I think this is also why my grandma didn't put it in the biscuit mix during the shaking up stage. After you've done all the rest of the seasonings though, you need to add the paprika. It should be last because it is largely for coloring. Don't crowd your chicken. If you need to, do it in batches or use 2 frying pans. Once you have browned your chicken at this medium-high heat, we are going to cover it and reduce it to as low as possible. At this time, if you'd like, you can put all of your chicken into one pan. Now this is the trick. GGC's chicken, according to my mother, always had some delicious caramelization on the bottom of them. And this comes from very, very low and slow cooking. Because of this, we may run out of grease, and we are going to need to add a little bit of water, just a little at a time, to make sure that our chicken stays moist. Now, how long should we cook it? Again, she doesn't say. But we know nowadays an internally safe temperature is 165 degrees, so that is what we are going to do. Mine took roughly 25 minutes to get there. Once you reach that temperature, if you still have water in the bottom of your pan, you'll want to remove the lid and increase your heat until the water evaporates away. That will help you get that nice carameled bottom to your chicken. Now you notice we're not turning it a lot here. After it's been browned, it has no need to be turned. You're actually going to end up with 2 textures, one side being different than the other. And there you have it. Delicious chicken. Now this is the best I have ever made this recipe. I don't know what I did differently this time than other times, but this was perfect. Now some of you may be looking at this recipe and going, that's not fried chicken. Well, yes it is. This is the classic way to fry chicken, pan-fried chicken. This is not deep fried chicken, or as my wife's cousin loves to call it, slurpy chicken. We may not have a crispy, crunchy exterior, but you get some rich flavor with this. The juices of the chicken have seeped out. It just goes everywhere. It's delicious. But we're not done yet. We can't leave that delicious fond in the bottom of the pan here. All of those drippings that took place, we can use to make a gravy. I'm not going to make a lot right here, but I'm just going to use a little bit to show you how to do it. Gravy's pretty easy. We want to put in equal parts butter and flour, and then cook that for about a minute with the drippings, stirring constantly until that flour taste is cooked off. We're then going to add some milk. I forgot to add the flour earlier. As I said, that is the best time to add it. Add the milk a little at a time until it reaches your desired consistency. You can also add some more of your spices here, though I originally had enough spices left in the bottom of the pan that I didn't need to. If you want to make more gravy, just increase the ratio of flour, butter, and milk that you put in. And there you have it. Can't get better than that. Or can we? Later in the week, I'm going to try, so make sure you click subscribe and go on cooking your roots.